So Helen starts, John said to me, a lot of people talk about their unhappy childhood. He said, but I was really happy. You know, John was the youngest of four, Malcolm, Alistair, Helen, and then John. He was a cute, sweet little boy, very pretty and with blonde curly hair. Did you believe it? Dad had hair. And Mother always kept a blonde ringlet of John's hair in an envelope in a box of drawers at their house. John had a very eventful childhood. On our family Christmas holiday to Port Macquarie when John was only 2, we were dabbling in the water and an extra large wave knocked him over. And I think in the wave there was a log. John broke his hip and I believe part of his leg. Auntie Helen says, I have a vivid memory of Alistair with his hand under John's arms dragging him to safety. We visited John in hospital in Port Macquarie East until they finally could put plaster on his leg, with his leg jutting out, and we were able to take him home. The most notable thing about John's childhood was that he had pneumonia when he was about 5 years old, but there were no antibiotics back in those days and he nearly died. Mum had for a few days trained nurses in the house looking after John, and so you can imagine how expensive that was at the time. Mum said that she was so glad she didn't send John to hospital as he would have died there. John was in bed for a long time and a lot of people came from the church to see him when he was so sick. The house was next to the church and all the people of the church got to know him well because they would come and visit him so often when he was so sick. The church folk would bring John a couple of bob each time and John had this large jar of money accumulating on the table next to his bed. Auntie Helen couldn't believe the amount of money which was accumulating, and to her she was like, well, there's nothing being done with this money, you know. So almost every winter John would get some bronchial infection and have to go to bed. She said this schooling was often interrupted because of this. Auntie Helen says that she always was very, very close to John. She was 3 to 4 years older than him, so she felt like she had to parent him to a degree. I guess she corrected him, she encouraged him, and she tried to inspire him to be a good boy. I guess she mothered him at the end of the day. John was a quiet boy, he never caused any bother at school, whereas his 2 elder brothers, Malcolm and Alistair, would make the teachers react and not in a good way. I had a bicycle I used to double John to and from school each day, and when we went home for the day, Mum had a hot lunch for us every day. One day I got to the pavement outside the primary school and let John off my bike, and this teacher from the high school was near me and said, "Don't tell me another Ramsay." I was rash enough to report this at the meal table that night. Malcolm and Alistair went off to the war when John was probably 9 or 10, and I was 12 or 13 years old. The one thing about John was that he was very soft-hearted and people meant a lot to him. So when Malcolm and Alistair joined up with the army, John disappeared into his bedroom to cry. From that time I decided that I would be a brother to John and not just a sister. I tried to do the same games that Malcolm and Alistair had played with John. When John married Sue, I was their bridesmaid. They went to New Zealand for their honeymoon. Over the years we travelled a lot. We did a lot together all the time. Over all this time, John and Sue have been marvellously supportive to me. One thing with John and Sue is that they have always done anything for me. If I needed something, they would find it and send it to me in India, or when I had returned to Australia. If I wanted to go somewhere, they would always take me. I'm sure that if I'd been left in Antarctica, they would have come straight away to get me. He would not have hesitated. Sue has looked after John so well over the years that he's been travelling with Sue overseas, including to India, and many other countries that they've been to in recent years. They have been marvellous together. I'm thinking of you all today at Evans Head with Sue and the family. We are certainly living in very strange times with lockdowns and COVID, but I'll be watching on my iPad and I'm very grateful to be able to do this. And that's from Dad's sister, Honey Helen.